Hello, my friends and family out there in cyberspace, cohorts, my fellow Americans and citizens of the great Mother Earth. I urge you all in these amazingly abundant and oppressively, killingly dire times, the end times for the reptilians, control over planet Earth, to evoke the timeless now and fire of the sacred heart of the Christ Goddess in all moments possible, as the mighty, conquering lioness Christ will triumph over all darkness in her great reclamation. There will be no great Syrian and Nazi officers' sons plan called the Great Reset. There will be a great reinstatement of truth, oneness, and awareness, not what the anarchists call statism, not coming from governors and presidents and senators, although they can help. Although Senator Rand Paul has stacks of evidence that the Pentagram paid Anthony Fauci over $450,000 a year to use American taxpayer money to do things such as pay the researchers in Wuhan line to design a gain-of-function flu virus, so-called, which is a flu bacterium, to give it properties of self-replicating robotics, I suppose, to put a spike protein in my heart, which I think I've mostly gotten out by now. This is the greatest and last of the great battles between the filthy, disrespectful, slave master, junior gods, and the real, divine, respectful reclamation of Christ awareness on planet Earth in these flesh suit avatar forms. Oneness, awareness, and harmless freedom. I may be a sacred clown, but this is a serious message, okay, folks? The idea for this video comes from Nyla Nguyen and Alex Jones, two people that were permanently kicked off YouTube, and actually set me in the wrong direction and believing that, I had to forgive myself for years for voting for Trump, and I still have to forgive myself, and might lose some subscribers for admitting it, but I was pretty confused and brainwashed by watching Alex Jones. I never watch him now, but once in a while I watch Nyla's show, because she puts on positive stories from all around the world. She's from Vietnam and moved to Canada, and from 3D to 5D consciousness, Nyla Nguyen on Odyssey, and anyway, so I like the positive stories, but this was a negative one, and she put a clip of Alex Jones, which I've never seen her do before, saying that some people claim that Alex is a Zionist double agent as well, and of course the government sued him for $1 trillion for saying that Sandy Hook shootings didn't happen, but most of the time his predictions have been very accurate, and this is why I think she put him on, saying that days ago that his insider sources say that in mid-September they're going to try to force us all to stay at home, lockdown, and or wear the masks again, but for sure the airlines. And my response was, I put a comment on the video on her Odyssey channel that that Ron DeSantis sued the Biden administration, saying it was unconstitutional to force us to wear masks on planes, trains, and automobiles, public transportation, and luckily for him, with the woman Supreme Court judge in Florida, they won the case. A month later, I rode the train to Colorado to go to the hot springs. So I don't think it's going to stick. That's why I think if the WHO and the WEF are spiritually retarded enough, at least when it comes to the USA, to try to force these concepts on the citizenry again, they're looking at it, bloody civil war, or at least a little bit of it, till they back down, unless they bring in their Chinese WHO army, which is what many are afraid of. So if this is accurate, if this is true, if Alex is like he has most of the time giving accurate predictions, what does that have to, how does Ron DeSantis' lawsuit factor into that? Well, remember, the horrors of 2020 and peacefully replying in civil disobedience like David James Rodriguez and his girlfriend and friends having the bonfires every Saturday night, and the Funky Fathers and the Freedom Foundation coming every dusk playing their music, their band, and sometimes I'd play with them, and we will not comply. We will not comply. The possibility, we have to look at the possibility in the so-called Great Bifurcation that, the Syrians, after millions of years, after forcing us to be their slaves and run wars for them for millions of years, they don't want to be so overt this time, and that we might actually possibly see the regressive ETs and half the world of the humans that took the experiment becoming obeying the new force, the new mandates, the new lockdowns, the new masks, the new inoculations, becoming their cyborg slave, and this happening in their sectors only, in sectors where the 1% big boy robber barons are CEOs of the companies and the controlling of say, colleges and airlines. And perhaps we might have to accept that colleges and airlines and allopathic hospital systems will force you to wear a mask. In this case, if this is what happens, then there will be no civil war, but there will be a major bifurcation where we see two worlds emerging. It's already begun to happen, okay? We'll see the humanoid AI, remote control, cyber slave bots, box wage control slaves controlled by the regressive ETs, okay? And wearing their masks all the time. And then we'll see the sovereign, free, respectful, Christed humans. I'm afraid, I'm terrified. I think he's just saying it because he's a Gemini and he wants attention and he loves Trump. And again, he still supports Trump and says he's a spiritual eagle, and I'm pretty sure he's a clone at this point. But Alfred Weber, who moved to Canada because he's afraid that the government's going to kill him if he stayed here. He's a friend of Laura Eisenhower. His idea was that some CIA friend of his was talking about how the USA was going to be split into two countries, Is this possible? Is this a possibility? Well, look at what's already happened over the last century, how laws, consent, the laws about alcohol, the laws about cannabis, the so-called cost of living and property taxes has created the situation where each state, or even in the case of Santa Cruz County, each town, each city can have a completely different laws and rules and culture and race and class setups to where they're all completely different structures. And so that you check back to my old YouTube video, Towns Are Little Worlds, because that's the way it already is in California. Do not submit to tyranny, junior gods, and know the Anunnaki, Syrians, or Dracos, the Zetas, or Mantis people, or whichever ones are trying to lord over you, are not your overlords. If you have the spiritual courage to do so, only Christ, the original Christ goddess, is over us, okay? The real king and queen, the original divine Christ, okay, who gave us the gifts of free will, the gift of life, this amazing flesh suit avatar form that we can do all the miracles or killing or midwife with, We were given free will by the amazing creators of this hologramic, deceptive thing we call life, that we were programmed by the dark side to think only our five senses are all there is and our little egos are all we are, whereas the free will, the creating timeless zones out of your week, like I say, even beginning with 15 minutes a week out of time, to create meditation, peace, These are some of the keys to reclamation of the Holy Ghost within, and it's your birthright, you know. No one else can do it for you. And we live in dire times, but they're also some of the most exciting times ever. So create a great one, my family. Loving you. Peace.